Do you want to stay more focused on the right goals in your life, or even just figure out what the right goals are for you? Do you want clarity? Do you want better work-life balance? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to Success Through Failure.
Welcome to the Success Through Failure podcast, the show that reveals failure as your path to success. You'll listen to intriguing interviews with some of the most successful people on the planet and learn how their failures became a launchpad for success and how yours can too. Here's your host, former Division I All-American wrestler, former Division I head coach, speaker, and personal coach, Jim Harshaw.
Welcome to another episode of Success Through Failure. Today I'm bringing you a solo episode. This one is going to be maybe a little scary and empowering at the same time. In this episode, I will be calling you out just a little bit because no one is coming to save you. It's up to you. You're on your own, and you've got to figure this out. And this is something that, I've internalized myself. I try to internalize this to my kids, and gosh, they're going into another school year right now. So, by the way, we have two now in middle school, which is scary. And then the two younger ones are both in elementary school. So we have kindergarten, 4th grade, 6th grade, 8th grade. So it's gotten pretty crazy here in the Harshaw house. It gets a little easier once school starts, but a little bit harder at the same time because now we have all the homework and everything's crammed into the evenings, like all of the just field hockey and baseball and soccer and piano and guitar and gymnastics and horseback riding. It goes on and on. So anyway, so it's a busy time of year. I guess it's always a busy time of year in the Harshaw house, but it's a great time of year always in the Harshaw house too. But so trying to teach my kids, it's up to you. You've got to take the bull by the horns. You've got to own your life. And so for you, the listener, I want you to think about your life. Is your marriage failing? Well, no one's coming to save you. Are you overweight? Well, no one's coming to save you. Do you want to make more money? Well, you get the idea. No one's coming to save you. Is there some other area of your life that you're struggling in? No one's coming to save you. Yeah, there's people out there that'll help you. You've got to make it happen. You've got to get them on your team. Whether that means they're your doctor or your counselor or your therapist or your mentor or your investor or your coach. But it's up to you. No one's coming to save you. People sit around waiting for someone to come and save them. Sometimes a lot of people are waiting for people to come give them permission. No one's going to give you permission. No one is going to give you permission to say, hey, you know what? It's okay. It's okay. Now's the time. I give you permission to start that business. I give you permission to write the book. I give you permission to end the unhealthy relationship. No one's going to give you permission. No one's coming to save you. You look at people who are just really successful, and however you define success, right? They have an amazing marriage and relationship, or maybe they're just really super fit and healthy, and they run races, or they compete in CrossFit. Maybe they make a lot of money. Whatever it is, however you define success, and you can define it in multiple ways, in different areas of your life. But you look at them. No one gave them permission either. No one came to save them. And you might say, well, yeah, but they had an unfair advantage. They had this in their life. They had something in their life that made it easier for them. They grew up rich, or they grew up poor. So they were more motivated. Or they had an example of what a healthy relationship looked like. Or they lived right next door to, or they had access through their work to a gym. It's easier for them to work out. right? Guess what? You have an unfair advantage too. I talk about the, quote, yeah, but syndrome that so many people have. I talk about that in episode 202 if you want to go check that out. But everybody has their unfair advantage, right? Everybody has a reason to say, yeah, but, right? You can point to somebody else and say they have their unfair advantage. Yeah, but they have this, right? Or, yeah, but I have this unfair disadvantage, right? Yeah, go ahead, choose. You can choose to look at your life like that, or you can choose to look at it some other way, right? I mean, gosh, I've referenced Eric Weinmeier and Kyle Maynard. Eric Weinmeier climbed Mount Everest and kayaked the Grand Canyon, and he's blind. What was his unfair advantage? Right, he had plenty of excuses. Kyle Maynard, he was born a quadruple amputee. Interviewed him back in episode 4. So what's your excuse, right? You don't have one. It's up to you. It may sound like I'm being harsh or crushing your hope, but this is the opposite. This is empowering. This gives you all the power, all of the hope in the world, because it is up to you. Yes, like I said, there's people out there who can help, but they're not coming to help you. You have to go get them. You have to take action. You have to invest in yourself. You have to invest in your relationship and in your health and yourself. Imagine if Eric Weinmeier, by the way, had him on in episode 196, if you want to listen to that. What if he waited for someone to come save him? He wouldn't have achieved all these amazing things. He's inspiring people all over the world. He has a summit called the No Barrier Summit and inspires all kinds of people. He has multiple national best-selling books, but he's built this team around him to make these things happen. What if Tony Horton? I had Tony Horton. He's the P90X guy, one of the top sort of faces in the fitness industry. Tony Horton, had him on back in episode 85. He sold over $1 billion with a B, $1 billion in fitness products. He was poor and struggling when he first started. Poor and struggling. Then he signed up for self-help seminars. He paid money out of his pocket. That is what he says got him out of the hole. He had to take charge. He had to invest in himself. Imagine if Bonnie St. John, episode 169, what if she waited? She was the first African-American ski medalist in Winter Olympic competition. And that's just like the beginning of her accolades. I mean, just in business and in sports, she's just amazing. 169, I interviewed her. But she had to try something new when she went skiing. She tells the whole story. This little African-American girl trying skiing, and she talks about the whole, being an amputee and do something scary. That's what she had to do. Take action. Yeah, it's scary. I know. John Gordon, I had him on episode 117. If you haven't heard of John Gordon, he's written tons of best-selling books, just like inspirational books, positive mindset books. He's been on the Wall Street Journal bestseller list many times. But what if he stayed in his career and never wrote a book, right? Or maybe what if he wrote a book, but after 3 people showed up at his book signings because it was they thought it was Jeff Gordon, the NASCAR racer. What if he didn't? What if he waited for someone to give him permission to really chase his dream? What if he waited for somebody to come help him? He didn't. He took action. He moved forward. And when you do that, you can pull people in with you. People will step up to help you. But at the end, it's still up to you. Now, you might be saying, yeah, Jim, okay, I'm going to do this, right? I'm going to take that step. But guess what? It's not going to be easy. You have to do the foundational work to understand what truly motivates you. Why are you doing this? Then you have to create goals and action items, big goals, small goals, monthly goals, daily goals. You have to put processes in place to help you figure this, to help you take steps every day. Because when you do that, you turn hard work into inspired action. That is how great things happen in your life. That's how transformation happens. Getting from whatever level you're at right now. Maybe you're making $1 million and you want to make $100 million. Maybe you run marathons, but you want to run ultra marathons. Maybe you have a good relationship, but you want to make it a great relationship. You have to take action. Okay, so what is the action item? You know me, I like to get down to concrete action items, and that's what I'm going to give you right now. I'm going to give you some concrete, real action items. Okay, here's one. I'm going to give you 4 of them right now. Number 1, commit. Commit to it. I mean, actually sign up for the race. Write down the goal, whatever the goal is. Pay for the course or the coach. Sign up for the program. Join the gym. Call the counselor. Take the step. Make the commitment, right? So I have a sweet tooth. I'll tell you a little story. I have a sweet tooth. If you listen to my episode with Clint Wattenberg, where I interviewed the director of nutrition for the UFC Performance Institute, he was just talking about, his sort of nutrition philosophy is pretty like, he's like, well, you can have like a donut or you can have like junk food, if at times, but, and anyway, he said, when he said that, I was like, oh, good, because I like donuts. And so I've got this sweet tooth, right? I can't walk past like a donut or a chocolate cake without taking a big bite, right? And this is a guy who was a wrestler who, could starve and dehydrate himself when I needed to make weight. But I remember when he talked about eating that donut, I'm like, I mentioned like, I like donuts. I'm like, man, that's terrible, right? I need to have more self-control than that. So I made a commitment this summer from Memorial Day to Labor Day to not have dessert. And that was hard for me to actually make the commitment. But once I made the commitment, it was easy. Last night was my daughter's birthday. We had chocolate cake and ice cream with all the doings, all the toppings. And I just sat there and watched everybody eat it. And it wasn't hard for me to not eat it because it was a commitment I'd made. I actually made the commitment. Had I said, well, maybe I'll just try to kind of cut back a little bit, not eat so much junk food, it wouldn't have worked. But I just made the commitment, so it wasn't a choice. The emotional decision had already been made. And whenever you make the emotional decision to commit to something, following through becomes almost like inspired action, right? It becomes easier. All right, so that's number 1, commit. Number 2, fear. Identify the fear that's holding you back. What is it that you fear? What are you afraid of? Are you afraid of being embarrassed? Are you afraid of doing something that's out of your comfort zone? Are you afraid of doing something that you just don't know about? You're not familiar with it? Are you afraid of speaking in front of an audience? Are you afraid of taking that first step and what that commitment might actually mean? Are you afraid to go for a run because you might get really, really tired or be really sore or maybe look silly because you don't have the cool running gear, the Nike everything, right? The little hat with the short brim that runners wear. I don't have one of those either. But are you afraid of looking silly if you sign up for the spin class or call the relationship counselor or hire the business coach? Oh, that's weird. Who does that? Who hires a coach? Well, guess what? High-performing people do. Who signs up for Toastmasters? I'm now a professional speaker. That's where I started. Toastmasters. Because I was so bad at speaking. So what is it you fear? What are you afraid of? Take that first step into the fear. Next one, third one. I'm going to give you 4. Next one here is prototype. Prototype. Test it out. What is the thing that you want to do? You've been waiting for someone to give you permission to do. You've been waiting for someone to come and help you. Test it out. You don't have to fully commit to whatever that thing is that you want to do. You want to get better at. You want to improve. You can test it out. You can shadow someone in their career that you're thinking of, or go do a free talk about the thing that you want to speak professionally about. Or if you want to write a book, go write a guest blog post. Go find some blog that would accept a guest blog post, or take the free trial of the gym membership. You don't have to commit and go all in at this point. Prototype. Because maybe you're not quite sure. Maybe you're just not quite sure of the best way to go about it. You know there may be 2 or 3 options or 4 options out there. Go test it out. Prototype. then you can make the commitment. Here's the fourth one. Fail. You may be saying, Jim, I don't know what the first step is. Screw it. Fail then. If you're in sales and you don't know how to get to the next level, try just making 50 calls a day one day. If you want to lose 30 pounds, just start moving. Who cares if it's yoga or Pilates or CrossFit or running or freaking Tai Bo, prancercise? You ever heard of prancercise? I'm gonna have Leica dig up the link to prancercise. You're gonna get a kick out of this. Oh my goodness! Or just Google prancercise. But listen, it doesn't matter. Success through failure is a real thing. You learn through failure. If you don't know what the first step is, or you're afraid of the first step, just fail. Just be okay with failure. Guess what? Failure is an option. I interviewed Jaden Cox, world champion, best on the planet, what he does, wrestler. He said, failure is an option. I'm paraphrasing here, but he said something effective. Once I realized that failure was an option, it freed me up to compete to the best of my abilities. And that's okay. This is the best on the planet, right? It's okay to fail. It's okay to understand that failure is an option. Once you understand that, it's okay, right? Go for that run, sign up for that course, hire that coach, join that club, gym membership. Take the action, fail. Maybe it's the right thing, maybe it's the wrong thing. Doesn't matter. You're going to learn by doing. Just do something. Move forward. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to give you permission, at least not in this world. You're on your own. If you're like me, you believe in Jesus, then he's on your team. He's still counting on you to take action, to believe in him, to trust, to rely on him, to step into things in faith, to make the commitment, to step into your fear, to prototype what you want, and to fail your way to living your fullest self. So in the end, it's up to you. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to give you permission. That is the most freeing advice I can possibly give you. So as always, you can get the notes from this entire episode. Just go to jimharshawjr.com/action. Grab all the notes from this episode. If you got value out of it, please give it a share. If you enjoyed it, maybe you could even punch in a rating and review on iTunes or other services if you haven't already. For though many of you who have done that already, thank you. I was complaining a couple of weeks ago about my numbers kind of hitting just falling off of a cliff for about 2 weeks. It was weird. It's never done that in prior years before this time of year. I couldn't figure it out. But anyway, they've recovered nicely here. So thank you for sharing this. Thank you for spreading the word. Thank you for the reviews. And as always, take the time to get clear on your goals and embrace failure as a stepping stone on your path to success.